Good morning, students. How are you all? So, after the summer vacation or summer break, we will start with the chapter The Sangam Age. As yesterday online class, I have told you that you will have the virtual classes also. You will have 3 days the videos. Through videos, you will study for the chapters, and after that you will get the virtual classes to discuss about that videos. Okay, so please listen the videos carefully and make your own points for the discussion in the virtual classes. Be ready with your writing material, with your books, and please listen the video very carefully, because it is very important to listen the video and completing the assignments. Okay, because you will get the online questions and the online test on the basis of these videos and assignments, right? So today I'll start with the chapter The Sangam Age. It is the 6th chapter of history. The Sangam Age is the description of the southern India, the kingdoms and the social and economic conditions in the southern India. So, during that time, first of all, let me tell you that in the ancient time, the region of the peninsular India lying to the south of the Vindhya mountains was known as the Dakshinapad, right? The name of that place in the southern mountains, which lies to the south of the Vindhya mountains, is known as the Dakshinapad. So, what is the name or the region lying to the peninsular India is the Dakshinapad. It consisted mainly of the kingdoms situated into two geographical regions. Okay, so the kingdoms which were situated in that geographical region, that was the Deccan Plateau, lay between the river Narmada. So this is the first river, lay between the river Narmada. The Deccan Plateau, it was between the rivers. So which rivers it was? It was between Narmada in the north and Krishna and Tungabhadra in the south. So Narmada river lies in the north and Krishna and Tungabhadra lies in the south. The Tamil country included the territory to the south of the rivers. Krishna and Tungabhadra extending to the Kanyakumari. Okay, so Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers, they extended to the Kanyakumari. Cape Coromon, it was also known as Cape Coromon. Right now we know this thing. In this region were the kingdoms of the Chehra, the Cholas and the Pandyas. So in Kanyakumari, which regions or which kingdoms were there? Chehra rulers, the Chola rulers and the Pandya rulers. In ancient times, the whole region was inhabited by the people of the Dravidian origin. So who were there? The Dravidian origins. From the ancient time, who were situated there? The Dravidian origins, the native people of the south. They were known as the Dravidians. The term Dravidian is commonly used to denote the people belonging to the linguistic groups speaking Tamil. Okay, so who were the Dravidians? The Dravidians were those people who belonged to the language of the Tamil, Kannada, Telugu and Malayalam. Means the group of people, those who used to speak these languages, they were known as the Dravidians. The Dravidians belonged to the highly cultured race which was lying in the India on the eve of the advent of the Aryans. So Dravidians belong to the native people of the southern India. The native people related to the cultured races. Okay, races means the caste, the old caste, which was lying in India on the eve of the advent of the Aryans. Because before coming of the Aryans, these people were settled in the southern India from the long time, and they were known as the native people of the south, known as the Dravidians. Now we will see about the cultural and economic contacts between the northern and the southern India. So, though the Aryans had settled down in north, Aryan culture and civilization gradually infiltrated the south. It infiltrated the south because Aryans had settled in the south. So they had brought their culture to south, they had brought their customs, their language to southern India, and they had made people to realize, to learn those things. So the Dravidians had started learning Aryan culture and customs. According to ancient tradition, the Vedic sage Agastya was the first among those who introduced the Aryan customs and ideas into the Dravidian south. So who was the first one who introduced the Aryan customs into the Dravidians? So the Vedic sage Agastya was the first. Later on, many Brahmins preachers spread the Aryan culture in the south, and after that many Brahmin preachers spread the Aryan culture in the south. Sanskrit became popular and Dravidian scholars studied the Vedic literature of the Aryans. So which language became popular among the Dravidians? Sanskrit. Why it became popular? Because of the Brahmin preachers. They have preached their sermons into Sanskrit and the Dravidian scholars trying to learn the Sanskrit. The Andhra kingdom was being ruled by Brahmin rulers. Okay, who was ruling in the Andhra kingdom? The Andhra kingdom was ruled by the Brahmin rulers. But after the Mauryans entered in the Andhra kingdom, they had conquered it, and in the 3rd century BC they had conquered it. So who conquered the Andhra kingdom in 3rd century BC? The Mauryans. So during the Mauryan period, many Buddhist and Jain preachers or Jain missionaries came to southern region. The earlier Sangam texts speak of the river Ganga and the river Son. So earlier text describes about the river Ganga and river Son. Aryan culture made a deep impact on the people of the Deccan kingdom, right? Because they have brought their culture, their system, their language, their literature, and it has made a deep impact on the Deccan kingdoms. But South was limited with the things. People of the Tamil country had accepted the Brahminical faith, but they did not adopt many of the customs of the Aryan. Means they have adopted, the Dravidians had adopted many of the Brahminical faith, but they did not accept it all, because they wanted to follow their own customs and their own religion. They preserved uniqueness of their own culture, and the Tamil language was their pride. So they don't want to go with the Sanskrit language only. They wanted to preserve their culture and their language also. This helped the Tamil people to retain some of the distinguishing characteristics of the Dravidian civilization till today. Okay, so till today people are using the Tamil language. When you go to the south or when you go to these southern side, so you found that people used to talk in English or in their own language like Tamil, Kannada, Telugu. Okay, they don't speak in Hindi. They use their own language because they feel pride in speaking their own language. So this is why, this is because of their cultural heritage, which was followed from the time of the Dravidians, right? So they had preserved their language, their culture, their tradition, and still it is used, it is followed by the people of the south. Now you will see about the sources to reconstruct the Sangam age. Okay, so some material is of the two kinds, literary and archaeological, right? So we'll get the two different materials for the sources. First is the literary source and the second one is the archaeological source. So today you will learn about the literary sources. Tamil is the oldest language of the South India. Okay, you know this thing. It possesses a very rich literature. It is with very rich literature. Tamil became a prominent language in the south because of the literary excellence of the Sangam literature. Why it becomes a very prominent language? Because this language was used in the Sangam literature. The word Sangam means assembly. So what is the meaning of the word Sangam? Assembly. According to early tradition, 3 sangams or assemblies of literary men were held at Madurai. So at which place the sangam or the assembly was held? It was held at Madurai, the center of great literary activity in the Tamil country. So Madurai was the center of great literary activity in the Tamil country. It is generally accepted that these assemblies lasted from about 1st century BC to 6th century AD. So from which time period? From 1st century BC to 6th century AD. Many poets, scholars and writers who gathered there produced a large volume of excellent Tamil poetry. These literary compositions were collected and compiled into the books called the Sangam literature. So many scholars gathered there and they had written so many things related to the Sangam literature, and all those things were compiled into a book called the Sangam literature. So we'll have some name of the books, like Tirukural is one of them. Tirukural, the literary work of the third Sangam, constituted the most important part of the Sangam literature. Right? So Tirukural gave us the most important information about the Sangam literature. It was compiled during the third Sangam assembly, during the third Sangam or during the time of the third assembly, and they are the main source of information about the life and traditions of the Tamil people. So they give us the information about the culture, about the economic and social life of the people. Tirukural was written by Tiruvalluvar. Okay, who was the writer? Tiruvalluvar. It consists of 1,330 couplets. How many? 1,330 couplets, organized into 133 chapters. These chapters are grouped into 3 sections. So how many sections are there in the book Tirukural? 3 sections are there, each dealing with the particular topic, namely Aram. Aram means dharma, Poral means artha, and Nibam means kama. So dharma and kama are obviously related to the ethical codes which people were required to follow in their personal life. Okay, dharma means related to the religion, okay, which the people has to follow to be with the contact of the God. Then kama means related to the marital life, okay, the life which a family life which the people has to lead, which the people has to live with their families, right? So this is the kama, which describes about the social conditions of the society. Then are they obviously related to the ethical codes which people were required to follow in their personal life. Then artha means moral, dealt with the business ethics and public affairs. So the economic conditions, the economic value was related to the artha, and it is also the one section of the Tirukural. The scholars viewed this work as having the excellence and features of the Sanskrit text. Now, Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra and Kama Sutra. Its teachings have been a source of eternal inspirations and guides to the Tamilians, right? So these books give us the knowledge about the eternal inspiration and guide to the Tamilians. These books give guidance to the Tamilians. These books gives knowledge to the Tamilians. It has been translated into many Indian and European languages. Why? So that other country people can also read this and understand the true moral values. Then the other books were also there, in which we have epics and other work, in which the 2 books were very important, that is Shilapatikaram and the Manimekalai. So Shilapatikaram and Manimekalai are the 2 famous epics of the Tamil literature. The first is regarded as the brightest gem of the early Tamil literature. Okay, first one was the Silapadikaram. So it was the brightest gem of the Tamil literature. It deals with the Kovalan's love for his courtesan called Madhavi. So it is the love story of the Kovalan's love and with his courtesan called Madhavi. The other epics, Mani Mekalai, deals with the adventures of the daughter born of the union of the Kovalan and Madhavi. Right? So the family life was described into the Mani Mekalai and the description of their child or daughter. These epics throw light on the social and economic life of the Tamils. So what is the main thing about these epics? It shows the social and economic life of the Tamils up to about the 6th century AD. So these literary sources give us the most important information about the social, economic, educational, religious informations about the Tamils or about the Dravidians. So I hope that you have listened the video carefully. Please complete the assignment and make your own points. Write those points in your registers so that it is easy for you to revise it during your online tests. Study hard and prepare yourself for the virtual classes. Okay? Have a great day. Thank you.